So is this going to be on YouTube then?
This will be on YouTube. It's going out live on YouTube and on Facebook as well. So if anybody, if you can direct anybody towards us, just search for Raconteurs News on Facebook and you'll find us. And also same on YouTube. I ain't even got my green screen up or anything.
Jason.
What?
Theme tune.
Theme tune?
You've got a theme tune?
We've got theme tune. Let's see if it goes.
You're not going to sing, are you? I'm on Raconteurs News tonight, everybody.
We're not singing. There you go. I think that's gone. We're done with the theme tune. I can never hear that theme tune. It's got. Oh, I really must do something about my green screen. Let me put something on my green screen. Let's be Death Star again tonight. There we go. Anyway, good evening. Welcome to Raconteurs News. It's Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2020, the year of absolute utter madness. If you thought it couldn't get any worse, then just wait to see what they've got coming up for us. Good greetings to if you're in Leicester because you've been locked down again. So I hope you're coronavirus free. But a couple of things just before we get going tonight with our guest and of course Owen. I'd just like to say a big thank you. I was talking about my mobility scooter yesterday, not yesterday, on Monday's show, and now I crashed it, and it had been. In fact, I crashed it a few times. I'd rolled it, and it had been condemned. And somebody has generously, who wants to remain anonymous, has generously bought me a brand new mobility scooter, which is coming on Thursday. It's going to be delivered on Thursday. So a big thank you to you. You know who you are. They do want to remain anonymous. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I'll probably get it up a little bit later on. So anyway, tonight we have our wonderful co-host, Owen Lloyd Martin. Good evening, Owen. How are you and how is Portugal? Is it as hot as yesterday? You look like you've got a tan.
Yeah, head shining, forehead shining. Yeah, 34 today, Jason. 34 clear skies, no chemtrails. Beautiful. Yeah, I've got to say hello to just a quick couple of people, if that's okay.
Yep.
Hello, Dad. Hello, family in Jamaica. Hope you're all well. Love you all. See you soon, hopefully. There you go. My family actually. I spoke to my dad earlier on the phone in Jamaica, and they're going to tune in tonight for the first time. So. Hi everybody in Jamaica. Good evening.
Good evening to all Owen's relatives over in Jamaica. I'd love to do a Jamaican accent, but I'd sound all racist and everything. I just don't want to do that. Anyway, we've got a guest tonight. A big thanks to Webby for making this possible, because I know that our guest tonight is a friend of Webby. So Webby's a friend of ours as well, and comes on the show a lot. But she wanted to come on, I think, to address a couple of things. And like you were saying earlier on, we don't want to give this too much attention because the guy in question has already had enough attention off the Raconteurs News name as it is. So good evening, Caroline Stevens. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you, Jason, and thank you very much for having me on the show. Yeah, the reason why I contacted Webby was because a YouTube channel has set up, and there was a specific focus on your show, because I know the guy's been on your show, but also my interviews with Greg Hallett. And the guy was calling me some sort of queen to Greg Hallett's king, which might seem very innocent and all sort of lovey-dovey. But I just think we just need to put the matter straight. He said that I was some sort of Tommy Robinson supporter and promoted him extensively. And also I went under a title called Mark Braithwaite, a secondary profile. So the fact of the matter is this guy obviously cannot be trusted because I've never promoted Tommy Robinson. And although we understand this guy who's got this YouTube channel, it went to school with Tommy Robinson, perhaps. And I don't know who Mark Braithwaite is. So really, it's a case of, do I believe in Greg Hallett? I don't know anybody who's actually produced the right documentation. I've sent the documentation that Greg's talked about to various constitutional experts, and they cannot see any proof. But of course, we are now, with this pandemic, we are now moving from the old order to the new order, the digitization of currency, cashless society, huge unemployment, universal credit, it'll give a perspective on being serfs, I guess. And we, New World Order does not actually need a king or a queen, does it?
That's, that was my point, is when somebody mentioned this and said, try and get Greg Hallett on the show, he claims to be king or there's this king thing. And I thought to myself, well, I don't want a king. I don't, whoever it is, he could be the nicest bloke in the world. I just don't want a king. Look, we've spoken about the guy that you came on about. Let's not give him any more. He's already tried to make a bit of. He's been on here and he's tried to make a bit of a name for himself. Then one week he decided to go up against us at the same time, and then when nobody watched him, he decided to go after us and all sorts. So he's been. He's been having a pop at us for quite a while, and I do understand. But he did make a big point when Adi left. I did make a point that I thought that he'd had a word in Adi's ear, and I said that I made a flippant remark, which were just completely joking, really. And I said he was the Yoko Ono between me and Adi. So, and he made quite a big deal out of that on one of his videos. So, I think the less said about him, the better. I tell you what, for anybody that don't know you, give us an introduction for yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
God. Okay, well, I'm a housewife, and for the 2015 general election, I stood for Parliament. And after standing for Parliament and running a constituency campaign in a different area to where I live, so I was having to commute 23 miles each day just to get to the borders of the constituency I was fighting, I would then come home and cook an evening meal. So it was very much a very strange existence for months of, hoofing it on the campaign trail and standing in various hustings and being, a mum to children. So after that, I spoke at a party conference, because at that point I thought the only way you could change things was to be a member of a political party. And I spoke at the party conference, got a standing ovation, and that speech was given to Richard Tice, and he recommended that I become part of the Leave EU referendum group, and I became the campaign manager. So from being housewife, standing for Parliament, within a couple of months, I was traveling the country for 11 months, working for Leave EU, and then subsequently Vote Leave. So, encouraging the activists, training the activists, and most stressful and most important was actually debating with established MPs of many years. And of course, having stood for the general election, the two MPs candidates that I stood against had both been MPs for at least 2 sessions. So both of them were seasoned campaigners. They'd both been in Parliament for at least 10 years. So I wasn't competing, if you like, against novices. And I was just so truly shocked once I got into the parliamentary side of things and meeting people, just how many lies were being told. I didn't know anything about legal fiction. I didn't really understand that the ballot box was rigged. I had this really steep learning curve, and with very few people to help, because where I stood was a constituency on 5 hills. So you can imagine how hard that was to leaflet, when most of it was you'd be asking people to campaign up a hill, because nobody wants to campaign up a hill. So yeah, it was tricky, but I kept my deposit, 7% of the vote, didn't even live there. And then stood as the campaign manager for Leave EU, and we won. So what's happened since? We've had it all fudged. Boris Johnson's mandate, his deal is 95% the same as Theresa May. And of course, when I was campaigning, there were various reasons why people wanted to leave, one of which was for us to make our own rules. Another one was to take control of immigration. And of course, now we've got Boris Johnson inviting 2.9 million Hong Kong Chinese, to effectively come and live here. And I understand already that building work is taking place in Norfolk. So, the fact that it's been mooted in the mainstream media now, the infrastructure is presumably already been laid out. So, we've got the pandemic, we've got people with no jobs, and the end of furlough in sight. Where do we go from here?
And what made you decide to go into politics then, Caroline? From being a housewife and then into politics?
Because I was a campaigner for financial education. So I was a qualified teacher, I was a qualified maths teacher, and then I had my children. But prior to that, I'd worked in insurance. So I had this huge amount of expertise in the pensions field and investments. So I then went from that to retrain as a maths teacher when I moved down south, and then parent. And then it was a case of I got the opportunity to get involved with charity work and going into schools and teaching both the teachers and the children to save and not go into debt. And then I went to this meeting, a public meeting in March 2013, which was effectively, it was a UKIP meeting. And these people from the European Parliament came along and told everybody just how much money was being spent in the EU Parliament each day by our government. So I've been encouraging children to be really cautious with their money, and the teachers as well, and not to keep going and spending £3 here and £3 there on takeaway coffees. And in fact, I spoke in the City of London. I became part of an actuarial working committee. I was the only person who wasn't an actuary, and I was a volunteer. They were all very highly paid individuals working for the top insurance companies in the country. And I was the person who had been a maths teacher, so they asked me if I'd come and join them because I'm a statistician. And so I was educating adults in the city, adults in classrooms, children in classrooms, and then going to a meeting, and it was as if this light bulb had switched on. And I'm thinking, hang on, why is it that we're all three of us are from Yorkshire, which I just think is just amazing. And, Yorkshire people have something about them. It is in their DNA that we believe in, you don't get out for now. And, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And we have a lot of sayings, don't we? We're always, it's not that we're tight, because I know
that's a good one.
It's what?
Where there's muck, there's brass.
Aye, Begum. Obviously, yeah. Where there's muck, there's brass. And it's like, why? It just struck me. It was so immoral that all our politicians were all having their snouts in a trough, and I could see our children would never ever have any sort of lifestyle that we had. And we might not have had the best of lifestyles, but I knew for sure that our children would never have the same lifestyle as what we had. And it was like, I was going into schools, I'd worked out. In fact, I was very interactive with some of the sixth forms, and I had MPs coming to see what I was doing. And the High Sheriff, every county has somebody called the High Sheriff. And they go into schools. And so the High Sheriff came and saw my work. And I had people, the children working out, budgeting in a groups. And this is sixth formers. Right. So you're going to be going off to university. How much do you think your rent's going to be? How much do you think your insurance is going to be? Because you can't rely on your parents' insurance for everything. How much do you think you're going to spend on travel? And then when you leave university, what do you think the starting salaries were for certain jobs? And you see, they thought, banking. They thought, banking, you got big bucks in banking. But actually, tellers working at the bottom level of a bank they get paid less than most jobs. And then they realized they couldn't manage. Excuse me. So I just couldn't, they were never going to be able to save money if they were going to leave their parents' home. And of course, look where we are today.
Well, in particular, I mean, we know things are planned, things are done way ahead of time. It seems a bit of a pointless exercise to send you in and do those kind of things. Or maybe it's predictive programming, having going in and explaining to these people how you should be budgeting. Maybe that was a precursor of things to happen.
Well, I guess coming from Yorkshire, a lot of our parents are very clued up on that sort of thing, and they talk to us, or they certainly used to in my day. But I think these days, because a lot of parents now are both working, they're so busy, and they've been used to getting two incomes coming into a household, that it's they don't necessarily always have the time. And also there's more pressures now. You've got Netflix, you've got subscriptions for gym memberships and subscriptions for this and that and the other. And, so many people now buy takeout sandwiches and get these meal deals. Well, we were used to packing up. We used to pack our, with a cling film on, and we'd make sure we used our free teas and coffees at work. We didn't necessarily spend lots of money each day. And of course, with all the advertising and, the Starbucks and Cafe Neros, that's the norm. That's become the norm. So if you imagine spending £3 a day on one coffee, that's £15. That's over £60 of earned after-tax income a month just on one coffee a day. And, the teachers would say, oh my gosh. And it really, because they were probably 10, 20 years my junior, and it gave them a different perspective. And I thought it was really great to see a step change. In fact, I'd get groups of pupils to work out the differences between needs and wants. And so they'd have to prioritize. Believe it or not, toilet rolls were one of the items that they had to prioritize. Was that a need or was that a want? And so they had toilet rolls. They had makeup on that list as well as food and water. So they had makeup. And I always remember this girl saying she put makeup at the top of her priority list. And I said, well, how do you work that one out? Because obviously I'm sort of thinking food, shelter, you know, the usual needs and wants. And she said, well, like, so if I look really attractive, she said, I'll get a really rich guy and then everything's taken care of. And I thought, well, fair dues. So that's what I was doing. And I came into politics because I was meeting these MPs, then went to this meeting and stood for council. And then, so I had some experience door knocking, got 25% of the vote. And I was being two more senior gentlemen, should I say, two guys who were over about 20 years my senior. Both of them came and helped me leaflet every day. And they talked to me about what the EU was all about. They educated me. They lent me books. They lent me Vernon Coleman books. We've seen a lot of videos on Vernon Coleman now, and fantastic author. I've read Rodney Atkinson's books, read The Invisible Hand, and I just thought, wow, I don't really want to stand for council. I actually want to do something bigger. I don't want to necessarily talk about bus stops. I want to talk about getting out of the EU, because I realised very quickly, that the councils, you don't have any powers at all in the council. It was only a bit later that I realised you don't have any powers as an MP either. So there we go. So, you know, for the referendum, and now I uncover the truth, or seek the truth.
So you have a YouTube channel as well that everybody can watch in and have a look at?
That's right. I've got Caroline Stevens Seeking the Truth. I did used to front a Basis Project video channel, and then I decided to go it alone. And I didn't set my channel up until a year ago, Caroline Stevens Seeking the Truth. When we mentioned about Greg Hallett, I did 6 interviews with him last August, July, August. And as I say, I put them on Caroline Stevens Chat. That's my secondary channel. But yeah, it sounded quite crazy. There was I interviewing a chap who said he was the next King of England. You know, Queen Elizabeth was the illegitimate daughter of Winston Churchill, and she was sired from, was it a Bowes Lion Maid, which is where the Lion's Maid ice cream came from. Right,
and it was above a pub, I believe, the conception. Is there a pub in? There's a pub in London. Is it the Coach and Horses? I believe it's the Coach and Horses.
Right. Okay.
Pub in London. Apparently, that's the history of that I found out. But it's strange you're saying about the Greg Hallett thing, because I came across something of YouTube on YouTube earlier. So I'm going to call it the Summer of Love in 1441, which is even further back, where I can't remember the name of the king because I haven't written it down. But that is where apparently the bloodline changed originally. So I've been following the Greg Hallett things as well. But this is something I like I say to Jason, if I see something, I like to dive a bit further. So this is something I'm still looking at. I believe there was a program on by Tony Robinson Baldrick that did a story about it. But it's something that I'm quite interested in particular with the Greg Hallett story coming out at the moment. And obviously, there are a lot of people that are following that very closely. A lot of people saying a lot of, let's say, bad things about it. But, you know, like I've always said, I like to see all sides of the story just to make my own mind up. So definitely looking back at the Summer of Love 1441 is a definite plus mark for anybody else that's watching out there that fancies looking into it.
Well, Caroline.
Well, I know that I've also interviewed.
Sorry, I'm just going to say, you've interviewed the future King of England and what have you, but I've interviewed God on my back garden. Muad'Dib came
Who's
round
God?
to my
Who
house.
was God then?
Muad'Dib. You know, 7/7 ripple effect? No?
Tell
Never seen
me.
7/7 ripple effect?
No.
Oh, Caroline.
You need to watch that. You need to watch it. But anyway, this guy, you've heard of Tony Farrell? Tony Farrell?
That
Ex-police.
name rings a bell.
Yeah. Well, he's one of his disciples, and anyway, they came round to my house. I had a cup of tea, and honestly, this guy thinks he's God. He says he's God, and he had a couple of guys with him who they were like these big Scottish guys, and they kept calling him your great master and all this sort of thing, and it was really weird. It was really weird. But you should watch 7/7 ripple effect just to get to it's really good. It's about 7/7, and it shows that it wasn't what we were told. So
right, okay. I was thinking you were talking about something to do with Scientology, because I've seen John Mappin, John Mappin. He's of the Mappin and Webb dynasty, if you like, from Sheffield. Jason, do you remember?
Yeah.
You remember Mappin and Webb, the big jewelers?
Oh God, yeah, I do. But also, God was from Sheffield. His name was John Anthony Hill.
Did you say John Anthony Hill?
Yeah, John Anthony Hill. His name. He goes by John now.
Yes, that's right.
That's not the guy who took the Queen to court, is it?
Oh, probably. I don't know. He might have done it. He was in prison. What happened is when you remember when the after 7/7 there were like another attempted terrorist attack which were thwarted, and the guys that they caught and they took them to court, who were supposed to be conducting this terrorist attack. Well, what happened is John Anthony Hill sent every member of the jury and the judge and everything a copy of 7/7 ripple effect, which shows how it's all fabricated, right? So he ended up being extradited from Ireland, and he spent time in prison here for contempt of court. And they kept him in until the trial was over. And after the trial, they all walked free. Everybody walked free. All the people that were under suspicion or who'd been charged, the charges, they were all found not guilty. So just
the DVDs were sent to the jurors and the judge. Thanks, Webby.
Yeah,
juries. DVDs. Yeah. Just on that, Jason. Let me just do a quick hello to everybody in the chat room. Is that okay?
Yes.
Hello to Dave Yates, Dave Irons, Super Leads, Cardini, Ron Malcolm, Uni Black Sister. I've got an echo there. Nick GB, Johnny Jamsoville, sorry, Johnny, Cardini, Stephen Moore, Matthew Keddy, and Webby, of course, Tom, Ron Malcolm's in there, Agnostic, Gnostic. And if I've missed anybody out, we'll catch you a little bit later on. Jason.
Anyway, Caroline, I just want to pick your brain and ask you, where do you think we are as far as Brexit goes? Are we still in the EU? Are we out of the EU? Are we? Because I did see, I've seen a couple of times this new term that seems to have popped up called Britain. So I don't know.
That's a new one on me. That's a new one on me. But we are still in the transition period till the end of this year. And so I read somewhere that all the acts the official act is not finalized until around nowish anyway. And it's a case of, I've noticed that Boris Johnson was in the West Midlands, was it yesterday? And he was talking about, he sort of said that we hadn't left. Same with Michael Gove. He's made a recent speech. And neither of them, they said, and we're leaving, or when we've left, or it was the way they phrased it. They couldn't categorically say we had left because we haven't. We're in a transition period. But I mean, I was taken this evening by an article in the Telegraph that actually popped up 5 days ago. And it said that COVID-19, so I'm slightly digressing, because the Brexit situation, as I said at the beginning about immigration and taking our laws back, we have now, it almost looks as if we've gone out of the frying pan into the fire. We are being penalised. We have got a government that has effectively gone rogue, passing acts unlawfully. And where do we go from here? Because, you know, I just was communicating with somebody tonight just before we came on air, and it's a guy who lived in Australia and he came back to live in the UK 5 years ago, and his mother died in hospital during the lockdown, and she died from, is it COPD? But hospital wanted to put down COVID-19, and they have actually got their way. They have put her death down as COVID-19, and she tested negative. Now, if this is one person writing to me, there's probably hundreds and thousands of people out there who maybe don't even know that one of their relatives who died during lockdown has had their death certificate put as COVID-19. And that's not right. So it's very, 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 it's impossible. I mean, I'm a statistician. So if you're not working with the right data, the right information in the first place, you cannot possibly make any analysis whatsoever with erroneous data. I mean, you know, could it be that people who were sent back to the nursing homes, was that a disproportionate number of people that were impacted by whatever this is? But I mean, it mutates and mutates and mutates. And all this rushing for a vaccine. I mean, I was watching Jeremy Hunt being interviewed, was it this morning? And I mean, he's saying he's just thinking that the vaccine is going to be, it's going to wave a magic wand. Well, a vaccine could take 5 years. They've not made it work on animals, and now they're testing it on children in places like Oxford and Southampton. Because last week I was interviewing a guy who's been going to these hospitals. It says it on their websites, these hospitals, that they are testing on children of 5 to age 12. But yet the number of deaths on COVID-19 for the age group 5 to 14 is 1 in 3.5 million children.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so difficult. I mean, how many videos have we been subjected to on social media by all these virologists and doctors? You know, all we, you know, there's none of us sit at the top table. We cannot establish exactly who did what. All we know really is that Bill Gates, on behalf of the elites, has funded all these connecting organizations, and the British government is at the heart of this.
And
Well,
before we
get
on to Bill Gates and that dickhead thinking that he can run the world, I just want to show you this. This is what this is the sort of stuff I've been seeing. So look, there you go.
Britain versus, let's have a look. What the thing is, you know, like I said to you about immigration, that was one of the reasons why we said we want to take back control. But they never, the government never reneged on the Lisbon Treaty, which is where I did quite a successful video on the Lisbon Treaty and got really ridiculed at for But at the end of the day, they never tore up the Lisbon Treaty. We signed all these treaties outside of the EU. We signed something called the Raconteurs Treaty, which means we're going to get the what do they call that tapestry, the Bayeux Tapestry. We're going to get the Bayeux Tapestry in 2022 because we signed the Raconteurs Treaty. Who's going to, you know, did we ever expect Boris Johnson, or Doris as I like to call him, to invite 2.9 million people from Hong Kong to live here? So how is that control of immigration? Did he ask us if we did he ask us if we thought this was okay? Do they ever ask us what we want? And yet they're on the other hand saying taxes are going to be rising to pay for the pandemic. So anybody who's a taxpayer, and I mean the number of people I know, yes, they're taxpayers, but they're now working 3 days a week. I mean, the furlough scheme stopped, but well, it allowed now from today the employers to invite people back to work. They might invite them back to work for 1 day a week. They get paid for 1 day a week. So who's making up that shortfall? How is somebody going to live on 1 day a week's pay if that's all the employer can offer them?
Yeah, we certainly are heading. Sorry, Owen, did you want to?
No, you carry on.
I was just saying we're definitely heading for some sort of massive recession. In fact, I call it a depression. The amount of jobs that I saw this morning when I did flick on the BBC for 5 minutes, that's all I can take, and I couldn't find remote to turn it over. But the amount of jobs that were going in aviation, EasyJet were letting pilots go, 60 pilots go, and aviation, just the economy's been decimated by trillions and trillions of pounds, and we all know who are going to be the ones that suffer in this. It's the small business people. Someone who's got a small business, that's it. They're not going to be able to comply with these regulations. It's going to be far too much for them to do that. And so we're going to end up with big corporations. How do you see it going? I mean, did you see this pandemic coming, or this pandemic coming, as we like to call it here? Did you see it coming? And because we were all by surprise.
I didn't know it was going to, honestly, I didn't know it was going to be a virus. But I had been to a conference a couple of years ago, which is what set me on to doing the presentation works. And I'd heard all these people talking about different types of warfare. And for example, America has 25 laboratories all around the world, in different countries, obviously, in places like Croatia, where all of a sudden people who live near those laboratories would come down feeling sick. They'd see these flies with like mosquito type flies, and they would get sick from what these flies did to the local people. And these flies just were around laboratories. And I suppose looking back, we've had Ebola outbreaks as well, and that was involved with a laboratory. So I guess I wasn't surprised. Before it happened, I was talking quite a bit about the new Green Deal. And the new Green Deal meant that the airline industry was going to be pretty much destroyed. So this is me, I don't know, January, February time of this year. And I did a couple of interviews, monologues, and also with somebody else. And I was thinking to myself, because I'm surrounded with people around here that are involved in the airline industry. And of course, it's not something that, it's not going to make you friends at a dinner party, is it, when you go up to people who are in the airline industry and say, oh, I can foresee that there's going to be a destruction of your industry. But it's happened now, and I didn't see that coming. How they were going to pull everybody out of the planes, because I was more focused on the climate change side of things, and because I could see the UK government was heading up a conference in Glasgow in November, and they were inviting people from all over the world, and you could see they were going to ramp up the taxation side. That's where I was focused. So I think we're just getting there's a multiple set of agenda here. So it's like a death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it? But how are you going to cope with the fact is the genocide in the hospitals, cancelled operations, cancelled dental appointments is quite, well, it's just truly shocking. And nobody seems to think that the people out there still believe the government did the right thing. But then, you've got all these people ringing Samaritans saying they're in debt, they're suicidal, health issues. We notice there's been all this subliminal messaging of mental health issues, Prince William, Katie Waite, and mental health issues. And, they go and do their Zoom meetings with people in care homes and children and visit schools through the ages, if you like, and talking about mental health issues. And then they're giving mums and dads questionnaires to fill in about life at home. And then the government is talking about putting a mental health person into every school. So you can imagine these children are just shell-shocked after coming back from being locked down for so long. And some people's living conditions probably are not brilliant to be living there 24/7, maybe in high-rise blocks, and they don't like being there. And, they've got not meeting their friends. And then they're going back into school and they're saying, well, how was life at home? And oh, mum and dad, they were arguing. And so this goes down on a little record. And of course, about legal fiction, that gives the courts, the social workers, carte blanche to come in and take your kids.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we seem to be. Oh, I've got a bit of an echo. We seem to be more and more going in that direction, don't we? I mean, we're going to put more and more people into poverty. Poverty is going to become a huge issue in this country, and when we, like you say, we're not going to be able to. If there's more of us, we're not going to be able to get to. We're not going to be able to. We're at stretch now. We're at full stretch now. But I'll tell you what this has done. This pandemic has done. It showed how many people are abusing A&E. Now, when you were talking earlier, and you were talking about like it gives more carte blanche to people. I'll make a confession. My wife's a social worker, but she's a good social worker. I know that she's a good social worker because she tries to keep families together. And so I'd see it from both sides. I have seen it from both sides, and so has she. Which so we seem to be blindly walking into this this dystopia that the one thing we're going to be looking forward to is standing on doorstep and clapping, for 10 minutes or whatever, and it's. But the amount, I can't actually in my head get round the amount of destruction of the economy. I mean, when they used to talk about the economy is going to drop by 0.25% in the next 6 months, that's the forecast, and then in the 6 months later you get where it says actually the forecast were wrong and it increased by 1%. We're talking about now what they're telling us that the last I saw was 25% 37%. I mean, that's just...
Well, they're talking about...
a recipe for disaster.
They're talking about
Sorry,
a negative interest. They're talking about negative interest rates now of up to -3%. If you can imagine you're saving up in your pension plan, and your pension plan is actually going in the opposite direction, and it's losing 3% each year for the next 20 years, what will be left? This is, you know, you can see that this is going to be the global reset that they promised through the World Economic Forum. I mean, how far could those banks have gone? When you saw all those chief executives stepping down from what, 1,332 of them, it just reminds me of, remember in Cyprus when before the crash and before they took a lot of the money from people's accounts in Cyprus. That Friday, the elites knew what was happening. They got their money out, they got on their yachts, and they sailed away. And that's how I see those 1,332 executives. They walked away from their companies. And
sorry,
what was this thumb bit for?
The thumb up was because Owen sent me a message. If you can you see comments on your?
No, I can't.
At the top there should be a thing that says comments, and if you click on it, you'll be able to see all the comments that people that are coming in. Now there was somebody. Owen sent me this message saying "get rid." And I thought, what? And then I texted him and I said, well, what you on about?
Oh,
and
comments.
He put this
whatever.
other thing. He put this other thing in. I couldn't work it out or what it was. Then I looked and I saw the name. So yeah, got rid. That's what the thumbs up was. I understood you at last.
I want to take Caroline back to what she was saying earlier on. I mean, it kind of ties in really. You were saying about the government were letting so many Chinese into the country. And do you think that has anything to do with the trade deals, in particular the hidden TTIP?
Oh my gosh, I don't know about the TTIP side of what they agreed with China. Perhaps this was always in the offing with, you know who, Chris Patten. And there's big question marks there, but we won't go there. So Chris Patten, who was an MP, not so far away from where I live actually, but we don't know what was in those agreements when we signed with China, do we? We don't know what was in there because they always say the devil is in the detail. But what I do know is that I was following the TTIP, the transatlantic trade agreement, for a considerable time, and its sister agreement, the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, which they renamed the Canadian Super Trade Deal. All I know is that these trade deals, again, the devil is in the detail. They are like Trojan horses. We don't actually need a trade deal to trade. We do not need a trade deal which has an underlying fundamental point, which is about free movement, or something called Mode 4, which is about bringing in people from other countries who, for example, speak English to work on trade in our country. So, for example, it happened in the airline industry a couple of years ago, where a lot of Indian programmers were brought in to the UK working around Heathrow, I think, and they were basically paid, I guess, less than the indigenous population. They came here because they spoke English. They came under this trade deal, and it's called Mode 4. So anybody at home, please look at Mode 4, and it does mean that, okay, you're not necessarily got the free movement that you had before. Frankly, how many more fruit pickers did we need? We were bringing in so many people anyway that didn't have employment. I'm going off the TTIP, Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement. The bottom line with these trade deals, it's a corporatist trade deals. These are done to have the international settlement dispute courts. So basically, these big chief lawyers go in on behalf of the multinationals, and then they effectively can sue the national government if they stand in their way of their investment in that country. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, that was something I was having a look at before.
So basically, we lose.
With the TTIP,
we lose all the time.
Yeah.
We lose. Yeah.
It's basically they were saying, wasn't they? Literally, if a company went into a country and they had a release clause in there, let's say, and they had to leave the country for whatever reason, is that the country would have to pay. You know, the country would have to pay the company, basically. So that would then come down then to the taxpayers. That's what I believe that I was reading from the TTIP. So has that still been included in this Canada agreement?
Yeah, I mean, the Mode 4 is under the Canadian Trade Agreement. Yeah, that's there. But, you know, as we've seen with bringing in 2.9 million Hong Kong Chinese, the immigration side, we've also, remember, we've signed the Marrakesh Compact or Pact, and that was allowing lots and lots of people, predominantly from Africa, to move up into Europe till about 2026. And predominantly, they were inviting women and children. So whether it was a case of, because obviously Africa is still full of minerals, and the EU were going in with their peacekeeping forces, and I guess they were clearing on peacekeeping, humanitarian aid, and then shipping all these people up on to immigrate into the UK as well. So where do we go from? So Brexit was just, what was Brexit? You know, we've got a government who passes unlawful acts.
But it's how the general public have taken it, though, isn't it? I mean, somebody had mentioned before, is, you know, don't trust the media, don't watch your television set, and I think that's where the problem lies, really, because the mainstream media is so controlled, you know, and so many outlets, is that apart from the alternate media that we have online, which is being attacked as well, they don't really have anything else to look at. So, you know, where do we, the people that do know about what's going on, how do we get that across to people and them understand it? How do you do it?
Because we've only ever been allowed to go to the supermarket during lockdown, the official lockdown. I would speak to people every day. I've had people now subscribe now to my YouTube channel from people I've actually spoken to, because they've said, we thought this pandemic, it started to awaken, and they also had time to think about what was going on. You know, people were clearing out their garden sheds they'd never done for years. They actually had time on their hands to think about what is the meaning of life. And I actually saw some people being nastier, and I saw some people being much nicer to each other. For example, round where I live, people have been putting out little tables and giving away their children's toys. I have never seen that in 25 years of my living here. Never seen tables giving away their stuff, giving away tomato plants that they've produced too many tomato plants for themselves, and two houses have put those out on a table. Now, I see that more often. You know, I went to Australia, as I mentioned earlier. I saw a lot of people give away things in Australia, but never seen it down here until now. So maybe it will, you know, we won't be having car boots anymore from the looks. You know, I drove past a car boot place, a very, very popular car boot place. They've put cows in the field now. So I figured they've seen the writing on the wall. There won't be any car boots this year. I guess they're probably There won't be car boots ever again. That's how I see the future. No car boots anymore.
Well,
I do
if
see.
there's no cash, there's no car boot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Same with
Sorry,
village
you
fates. You know,
can't-
if you live, I mean, I live sort of on the outskirts of a town. We've got lots of pretty villages, and those villages often have village fairs, scarecrow trails. You know, things that we would say are English. Things that we do here that nowhere else really seems to do. And all those things, you know, it required paying 50p to get in and this, that, and all that, all our Englishness is going to be wiped away. Everything that we look forward to in the better weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like traditions like May Day, and you get Morris dancers dancing around a maypole, and then there's perhaps a collection bucket, and what are people going to do? Chuck the cards in? That sort of thing's going to be gone forever.
It wouldn't happen, Jason.
People won't be able to do that anymore because they won't be able to afford to do it.
It's not going to happen, Jason, because every time you put your hand in the bucket, you have to use your hand sanitizer. And then the next person that before they put the money in, they've got to use the hand sanitizer. So that'll be wiped out. You're quite right, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. Carry on.
You know, when your children are at primary school, quite often, you know, they would have like, well, even at secondary school, actually thinking about it, they'd often do like cake sales. You know, the children would make cakes to raise money for a charity of their choice. All that, everything is being wiped out.
Mm.
You know, in the secondary school, only year 10 and year 12 children are in school. And so, for example, if you're in year 12, you would normally have you'd be studying 3 or 4 subjects. You'd normally have 5 hours per subject each. So you'd normally be doing 15 hours worth of lessons. They are now getting 1.5 hours per subject for year 12s. Now, then the other year groups, the year 7, so years 8 and 9, they're not going to school at all till September. So what's all this then? So the government is now putting some messaging on the radio. They urge you to send your children back in September. Those children haven't been to school since around March the 23rd or 24th, something like that. And they won't go back to school until, say, September the 5th. And it's just if children have their friends, and that's their way of escaping maybe from sometimes an unhappy family life. And all that has been just cut away. You know, when they see each other now, do they do these little dances like with supermarkets? Crazy, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, they're aiming it at children, and they're making it more and more acceptable for the children's education to come from a screen. And I think that's probably where it's going to go. You know, you'll probably get a fine if you don't log in. Your parents will get a fine, and really, that seems to be where it's going. I mean, what we've seen for me is cartoonish. You know, we've got these squares in playgrounds where children can play. One they're 2 meters away, and the 2 meters away, and it's all cartoonish, but it's having the effect of saying, well, you know, this is just all a bit of a ball ache. We can't really police this. It takes too much staff attention. Now, what about if we had classes from home? So everybody gets, I don't know, a tablet or something, and they log in. If they don't log in on a school day, then a fine goes to the parents, and it's more and more being separated from each other. I think human contact is the most important thing, because what it does is it brings us together and it makes us feel like, you know, if I get I've only got one leg, and I've got a prosthetic leg, but I can't wear it at the moment because I've got a problem with my other leg. But just that, sometimes I'll just be in the kitchen and I'll be in the corner, and my wife will be there, and I'll just stand up and just have a stand-up hug with her because I ain't had one for so long. You know what I mean? That contact, that's what's being taken away. And so, you know what kids are like? They'll see each other, not seen each other for a long time, and they'll go and run and hug each other, won't they? That's what kids will do.
It's a natural thing, isn't it? Just a natural thing for them to do.
Exactly.
I met a girlfriend a few weeks ago, and you know, that's what we would do. We would give each other a hug. So I won't say whether we did or we won't. But I tell you number one target, right? So we're looking at the Tavistock Institute now. So the Tavistock Institute and the behavioural units and this, that, and the other, which is called the nudge unit. Was it behavioural insight team? They want the breakdown, the total breakdown of the family unit. So you've got the children being removed from the parents. None of this huggy stuff. That's the success, isn't it? They wouldn't allow somebody from one household to spend the night at somebody else's household. I mean, the strain for some people must have been pretty. It must have been very hard for a lot of people, to be honest. I think I got away very, very lightly. To be honest, it was so nice to be able to drive on very quiet roads. Dare I say it?
Well, what about apps like Tinder? I mean, the lockdowns surely should have just meant the end for Tinder, because that's all Tinder is. People meet up, you know, they see each other, they fancy each other, and then they arrange to go and have sex with each other. That's what Tinder, as far as I know. I mean, I've never been on, but you know, that seems to have been. I've had a look, and I've had a look to try and look at what lockdown effect has had on.
Don't let your wife catch you on.
No, listen, you know,
research purposes only, Jason.
She'll know it's for research, but you know, I mean, there's no details on that. And
that's what they all say.
You would have thought that would have been in the end for Tinder. You know, people can't go around and have sex at someone else's house, but no, that will have carried on. You know, that will have carried on, and this is what they want us to do: is the human contact needs to be minimal so that it's just sexual, right? That means then you get a load of kids that have got a parent that's not around, right? And so you break up. You've got families. There's just no such thing as a family anymore. You know, it's just children who are being brought up by mothers in the main, who then will go on and repeat the cycle. And I'm waiting for the first kid. I am waiting. I wonder if it's ever happened, but I'm waiting for this first kid to be christened Tinder.
Well, you know, have you seen that when they've been doing these dates, they've actually been sat at the table, haven't they? They've laid out the table, and they've actually been pretending they've been having meals together through the computer. I mean, that's really sad, isn't it?
Oh, I want to get back onto children and the schooling, the homeschooling itself, because we've had a couple of people in the chat room there that have mentioned about homeschooling, in particular Marco Serengeti, who homeschools his daughter, a very, very talented daughter, I might add as well, because Marco's over here in Portugal, And I had the pleasure of teaching his daughter how to bake bread and pizza as well in the lovely pizza oven at their place there. So there are people there that do want to do the homeschooling. And for me, myself, that's where the best education comes. The best education comes from home, and not even on a tablet or a computer. It comes from home because you're learning everything that goes on. You're learning about your family, your siblings, everything else. You're learning about life. Whereas school, you're indoctrinated into the system. So for me, it has to be in the home, you know, family first. And that's where you're going to learn the most from your elders, if you have elder brothers and sisters, or from your younger brothers and sisters, your parents, your grandparents, your aunties and uncles. That's where the education comes from. Unfortunately, it was taken away from us. And as uni black sisters, you were put into a prison that was called school. We had to follow orders, you know. So, yeah, I'm 100% for people homeschooling the children without the need of the internet, you know, green grass, Mother Nature and everything else. That's the only way that they're going to learn. My opinion.
20,000, they reckon, because remember I'm a teacher, they reckon that 20,000 families homeschool their children. And the constituency where I actually stood as candidate for Parliament had the most homeschooled children in the country. So a lot of the children were into this Steiner, you know, where they were doing all this touchy-feely, you know, living real experiences. But it is very difficult. It's not easy to homeschool. And I guess a lot of parents will be glad to see their children go back to school in September.
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there'll be a lot of parents that will be quite relieved. But you know, it's like you were saying before. They've missed so much. You know, what contingencies has anything been mentioned in the UK about any contingencies for that? Because obviously these kids are a year behind. They will be a year behind. They wouldn't have much of it, you know.
I think some of them are working through computer programs. Obviously, there are some children that don't actually have access to computer programs, and I've seen on the news where head teachers have said, but the government promised this equipment, but it was never forthcoming. So, right. So there will be, yes, and that's why they said it will impact more the lower ability children and the people from sort of less wealthy background.
I like that comment there by Barry True.
I was going to say working down the pit. Anyway, I don't know, what time does your show finish actually? Because talking about family, I think my family want to be here. So what time do you normally finish the show?
Well, the show's normally 2 hours. We've done an hour and 8 minutes, so it's normally 2 hours. I mean, if you've got somewhere to go and things to do, then that's not a problem. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we'll just carry on the show on its own. It's not a problem at all, Caroline. But certainly, hopefully, if you agree, we'll get you back on again at another time.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
If you've got,
I've been spending a lot of time in the garden. I've been spending during lockdown. I've stopped doing a lot of my videos and stopped really doing lots of interviews. And I keep trapping nerves in my back, so it's very hard for me to sit for more than an hour at a time as well. So next time, I didn't realize it was 2 hours, but I would have forewarned everybody. But please do have me back, because I've really enjoyed speaking to you both, actually, and both from Yorkshire, because it's God's own county.
Aye, lass.
That's right.
Aye, lass.
That's right. Yeah. Just before you go, tell people where they can find your stuff.
Okay, I've got a website, carolinestevens.net. And all my videos get automatically synced onto that. And if anybody would like to write an article, because I know it's a little bit, it's been a few weeks since I've had an article put on there. If anybody would like to write an article, that would be great. I've got a YouTube channel, Caroline Stevens Seeking the Truth. And I've got a second channel, which I never promote, which is where the Hallett videos can be found. And that's Caroline Stevens Chit Chat. So I'm so glad you've had me on the show. It's been lovely to meet you both. Portugal, I'd love to go to. Are you on the Algarve, Owen?
Oh no! Oh no! I'm quite rural. I'm in more central Portugal. In fact, near the very centre of Portugal, a place called Vila de Rei, which is the geographical centre of Portugal. Beautiful place.
The
And we've got a
part
bit
that
of a plan.
I'm from is
What was
what?
that, Jason?
I was just saying we've got a bit of a plan that we're hoping it's going to come together, where we're going to be able to make a retreat there, so people can just come out and just observe stars, just eat some good food and just be there. So
We're going to talk about that in a bit, aren't we?
Right. The only part of Portugal I've been to is I've done Lisbon and that area, and taken it right up to the top. So
right.
it's
Okay.
quite
So
cool.
it's a lovely place. Lovely place. Caroline, take care of yourself, and hope to have you on back soon again.
Bye for now.
Take care, Caroline.
Fantastic, Caroline. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. There we go. There goes Caroline Stevens, which just leaves me and Owen.
Me and him.
At all. Huh?
Him there. I said me and him there.
Oh, yeah, me and him.
Wrong way, lad. Yes. Should we have a little talk about it, Jason? Should we have a little talk?
Yeah. Is there anybody in the back chat room who is in Leicester? Because that's been locked down again, hasn't it?
That's right. I did notice a couple of chats there. There was somebody much earlier on that said they were in Leicester and they're getting really peed off with it. I'm just seeing if I can find it here now. Yeah, I really feel for you, because it's one of those things you look at it. I know during our time when we was on lockdown here in Portugal, is that it was, as I said, you weren't allowed to leave the Shire. You could stay within, like, let's say, for example's sake, you could stay within Leicester, but there was no way you could travel out of that. There were police road checks and everything else. And I don't know what the severity of it is there in Leicester. I mean, I was aware of it the other morning. I'd passed the message on to my good lady about it, because I know she goes up there for her hairdressers. But so we had a chat about it the other morning, and I'm quite intrigued to see how it's being policed. All I know is that Leicester's in lockdown, and that's it. So if anybody is in the Leicester area and watching in tonight, just give us a lowdown of what's going on, and then we can have a chat about it. Chew the fat, as they say in Yorkshire.
Yeah, I think there's been like roadblocks and stuff to stop people escaping. So, I used to do deliveries when I had two legs and I could work. I used to do Leicester a lot, and it's not. It's going to take some police numbers to stop people from coming in and out of it. I'll tell you that. It's just strange, isn't it? I mean, is it 5G being rolled out in Leicester at this very moment in time?
I should have a look at my
people in Leicester walking down the street and dropping dead, like we had in Wuhan or whatever it was called.
I'm just gonna have a look, because I've got a website which shows me the world map, and it shows where all the 5G are and all the pending 5G. I'll just see if I can load it up and have a look, Jason, because that'd be very interesting to find that, because I know when the old CB virus first started out, and it started in Wuhan, is that it was first tested there, then Italy, and then Spain. And, funny enough, the COVID followed. So that'll be something, if the screen loads up, be very interesting to have a look at, see if there is a coincidence.
It could be a coincidence. It probably is a coincidence. Everything is a coincidence. Leicester is hard to spell. Just I don't know why they just don't call it
Leicester.
Like Barry Truth, Leicester, like Leicester Piggott. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got you.
You wouldn't have thought, well, he's from Leicester. I mean, who do we know from Leicester? Who's famous from Leicester? Kasabian, they are, aren't they? They're from Leicester. Gary Lineker, he's from Leicester. He's a fucking complete wanker. It's fine how Caroline's gone, can't we? He's a complete fucking wanker.
But if my dad's watching, you better apologise.
Oh, sorry. Apologies to Owen's family, but you know when it gets to the part of the show, it's swears start coming out, and sometimes, and it's not my fault.
Right, I've got that there location map that I was saying about the 5G one, and I've pinpointed Leicester, Jason. Let's see if I can try. Are you going to allow me? There we go.
Yes, mate. Yeah. I'll just give my wife a kiss.
I know.
I've got a screen outside of me that's got Sheffield Wednesday on it game. I'm watching Wednesday game on that, and we're losing 2-0. So
right. I wondered. Right, there's that screen, Jason. So this is the one, and this is the current situation with the 5G in Leicester. So there's 3 in Leicester itself, 1 in Loughborough, and then 1 in Nuneaton. So that's their current state of play with the 5G there. So the red ones that show up there, the ones that are commercially available, and the blue ones there that I've highlighted are the ones that are going still. There is one that says limited availability, but you never see them on screen. See if I can try and get that on there. Limited availability. So look, isn't that strange? The ones that say limited availability is nowhere to be seen on screen. Now, I remember beforehand, the last time I brought this up on screen, is that the limited available ones were actually showing. So it's strange from the last time that this was on. I think there was only about 4, maybe 5, and now it's gone to 16. So whether they're testing these limited availability ones could be in question. What do you reckon? He says, "Speak." So yeah, just with that map there, you know, it's bizarre that in Leicester. 3 in Leicester, 1 in Nuneaton, and I've forgotten the other place that it was in. So that's in the answer to that. Oh,
but they're only Leicester and Nuneaton are in particularly the same place, like Coventry. That'd probably make a triangle. Nuneaton, Leicester, and Coventry, but.
And Leicester have been on 5G since 2019 from Basil's mum.
Okay, Basil's mum.
Thank you very much. And then Paula Calick is saying Chris Pyatt, the boxer, is from Leicester. And David Icke was born in Leicester.
Who's Chris Pyatt?
I don't know. Surely we'll find out. Who's Chris Pyatt? Please tell. But yeah, it says there David Icke was born in Leicester. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he were, weren't he? Yeah, he were goalkeeper for Leicester. So that's why they've done it. See, you can't trust anyone from Leicester.
They're shutting him down. They're shutting Ike down. They're shutting Ike and Lineker down.
So Ike's gonna like appear on this thing, and he's gonna be like, you know, this is the interview that you can't see. It's banned and censored everywhere, but you know you can find it anywhere. But you know it's banned and censored. Perhaps we should ban and censor Leicester.
Yeah, because everybody seems to send. Everybody gets sent to Coventry, don't they? So yeah, why not? Let's stay in the Midlands area and do that. Oh, that's the other thing. This other thing I meant to ask you about today. Something that I've read, and somebody can confirm it for me again. Marriages. I believe the marriage ceremony has changed. Father is not allowed to. No, but something about the father isn't. You know that how the father would normally walk his daughter down the aisle. They're not allowed to touch. And then when it comes to this, the holding of the hands, it may be satire. It may be that somebody's put on there today. But
no, I promise you it'll be real, right? Because I've read it myself.
It will be, won't it?
So no fucking singing. There's no singing. There's note. You can't do out. You've got a mask over you, so you may kiss the bride. Well, you can't really. It's all nonsense. Nobody's going to take any notice. I'm not going to go. If I'm getting married, you know, if I'm going back 10 years and it's my wedding day, and they're telling me I'm wearing a mask and I can't kiss my bride, that's a nanas.
Yeah.
You can nanas. There's no way. It's just utter crap. It's just these things that are. Let's see who will do the most ridiculous things. Let's see who is prepared to not turn up to a loved one's funeral because they're told that they might get COVID-19. Let's see. That's not me. I'm not doing that. If a friend of mine or somebody has died, I don't care how many people are allowed there. I'm going
Yeah,
to the funeral.
exactly that. But that's it, isn't it? It's like we were talking about before about splitting up the family unit and everything else. It's going deeper than that as well. People want to show their emotions. People want to say the goodbyes at these events because they love that person that's passed away. So obviously, to stop that, they are going to bring in rules, aren't they? It's just another, you know.
It's just another way of separating us from.
Yeah, exactly that.
That we love. Even in death. I mean, that fucking. Oh God, these fucking over 50 plans. I've got this over 50 plan. Oh, have you? Oh, right. Oh, good. Yeah, they paid out 100% last year. Yeah, they paid out 100%. My arse. I bet anybody who missed the payment, you're meant to start again. So you'll have to wait for 2 years to go again before you can. They're driving me at wall, and now they're doing these ones where there's nothing, there's no ceremony, nothing. They'll come and take your loved one away and cremate them. So you don't. There's no service or any. Well, you can have a service yourself, I suppose, can't you? You know, if you don't mind having a dead guy in house, but you can do your service yourself. But they're just taking them away and just burning them. Human life is now not even worth celebrating, according to these people. And they're trying to
precious thing we have, isn't it?
They're trying to dress it up as just a cheap way, and they do it in a way whereas it's the old guy, the old guy who's probably going to be the first one to die. He suggests it, and it's his idea. And I don't want no fuss. Look, I don't want no fuss, right? I don't want no fuss. I just want a leg in a wing, into ground. Bury me somewhere good. Bury me at sea. I mean, that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
I want to be put in one of those eco pods where I decompose and a tree grows, because I know which tree would probably grow. I know which bush would grow anyway.
So
I want to be buried. What's that?
You get buried and a tree grows.
A tree grows. It's a pod thing. I'll find it for the next time we're on, but literally it's a pod thing and it decomposes. There's chemicals in there as well. You decompose and a tree grows. Obviously, there's the roots of a tree that's there, but the point is that we are buried in this pod, and as your body decomposes, all the nutrients that obviously that your shell is giving out helps with the trees. From Gren. My Maltese stepfather died last night. We're not allowed to attend the funeral as there are no flights allowed to Malta from the UK. Yeah, this is we were talking about this on Monday night as well, weren't we, Jason, in relation to Portugal and the Portugal first said about having the air bridge from travellers from the UK coming over, and now they've seemed to change their mind again. There was supposed to be a final decision on the 29th of June, but nothing came about. But my comfort to you there, Gran. That's it, exactly that. So they're really pushing the separation. Sorry?
Exactly what they want. Even in death, you're separated. You're separated in life, and you're separated in death.
There's a message. There you go from Paula there. Raccoon Village respect their dead, Jason. That's not happening. How's that? The one above.
Raccoon Village respect their dead, Jason. That's not happening. There you go. See,
it wouldn't happen in Raccoon Village, would it?
No, not in Raccoon Town. I think you're gonna we'll get Raccoon Town. We'll get it up and running, then I'm going to give you all the drink, and I'm going to say we all need to drink this at the same time.
Raccoon piss. Don't say it. Yes.
And then I'll go, psych. You thought I was going to kill you all. I'm going to have to be mayor.
You will be mayor. You will be mayor. We'll have to sort out everything else.
my wife said, when we were talking about it earlier on, my missus said she wanted to be queen. And I said, well, you can't be queen. Can you? Because that'd be above mayor.
President Jason. President Jason. That's a question to ask Barry. That's a bit personal, Barry. Owen L. Martin, Owen Lyde Martin, are you a breast or a leg man? Do you know what? I actually prefer the neck, Barry, if I'm honest. The best part of the meat of the chicken is the neck bone. There you go. That answers your question.
Oh, God, fucking hell. I thought you were like one of them stranglers or something then.
No.
Are you a leg or a breast man?
So Nin is saying you can go in a wicker basket and have a tree. Yes, Owen. Blessed jar. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's something that, it really, really interests me, that, because, at least you're putting something back. When you've gone, at least you know that something's going to grow, hopefully for a lot longer than yourself. And people will look at it and remember the tree and remember why it was planted there. So I think it's a really, certainly is. Yes, it's going to be fun all the way, talking about Raccoonsville. Street names. Street names, Jason.
Street names. Okay.
Should we have that? Should we put that? Should we put that up as a book?
Yeah, we're going to have street names, aren't we? We'll probably have to have super leads close.
Yeah, there we go. So Chris O'Rourke saying, what about the retreat you mentioned? Should we mention it, Jason?
What, the retreat?
Yes. Should we mention about Raccoon's tent? Well, if you remember on Monday night show, I brought up, or I shown on screen, the village that was for sale in Portugal here, and I am happy to say there are now 4 happy investors, and I'm actually going to have a look at it on Tuesday with the we're going to buy it. We're going to buy it, and we're going to do it up, and we're going to open up a retreat. We're going to be self-sufficient and live off the land. We're going to hold courses there, whether it be cooking, joinery, pottery, painting. We will have a therapist online on site as well. And we're hoping also as well is to give people the chance to come and visit and just pay the flight money and come and stay with us for some time as well. It's a small village up in central Portugal here. No mushroom management. It's not going to be a sect cult retreat. Sorry about that. But yeah.
He can explore his own sexuality.
He can explore. Yeah, you can do that mushroom management. Yeah. So yeah, we're hopefully going to buy it, and then we'll take it from there. We're still in the early stages yet. I'm going to have a look at it on Tuesday. We'll have more of an idea. Can you and Leeds come and just get pressed? Of course you can. You pay your flight money, of course you can come and stay. But yeah, so we're really keen on it. Everybody's very, very like-minded. And good evening, Webby.
Yes.
How are you doing, mate?
Boys?
Not too bad at all.
I'm good. Oh, my lighting seems a lot worse.
There'll have to be a Webby Avenue, won't there?
There will be. We're gonna walk down to Webby Avenue because bills are getting higher.
Webby Avenue.
What do you think of my new T-shirt that came today, lads?
In the days of Verona, I'm a Holocaust survivor. Yes, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Good to see you, Webby. Good to see you. So yeah, we like I say, I've taken a look at it. I've made my appointment with the estate agent, and we're going to see how we stand for further buildings and whatnot. But I'm going to take loads of photographs, loads of videos, and we'll have a look over them and then give it a final decision.
We're going to do due diligence, aren't we?
Absolutely. Fully.
There's nothing that could stand in his way of what we wanted, what we envisioned for it, because it's sort of place I want us to be sat round a campfire drinking fucking dandelion vodka that Owen made last year, and it's just fermented great. And we're drinking dandelion vodka round fire, and we're singing songs. And then, you know, I'm telling people to shut up because I don't like songs.
Oh dear.
And it's going to have handicapped access as well.
Certainly is. That's a must. That's definitely a must. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I'll be taking photos on Tuesday, and I'll take a couple of videos as well. And once the four main people that are up to press are involved, I've had a look at the videos and the photographs. Then we'll probably put them online and let everybody else have a look at it, because we want everybody else to be involved with it as well and come and visit us. And I had some more good news today. I've been speaking to one of the guys that does a show over here for the expats, and he has a lot of housing experts on and etc. And, you know, people that are very, very knowledgeable. So hopefully we'll have them as kind of mentors to help us along the Portuguese process as well. So that's all good news. And this has all happened really over the since Monday, really. Things have taken off. One of my friends from the Manchester area has said he's in. Jason himself, there's me, and there's Paula. I don't know if she's still in the chat room there. Paula's in as well. So yeah, we're really going to go for it, because, you know, the time's right now to get something like this started. You know, we've got to carry on rather than sitting waiting and seeing what happens. If you carry on and do the things that you want to do and try and be self-sufficient and try and live in a community where everybody's getting on and everybody's helping one another, what better way to make sure that we are all right? You know, it's a good start. It's a good thing.
That's exactly it, mate. And listen, Webby's graced us with his presence, so I think we should use him while he's here. Good evening, Webby. How are you, my old mate? And what's going on your end?
Nothing's going on my end at the minute. But after
hang on a minute. How did you get on?
How did I get on?
Yeah,
you put a link in that group that I set up for you and Caroline.
Oh yeah, of course I did. For fuck's sake!
So when I seen you, when I seen you say ask him, I thought, oh, I'll go and boot the computer up. I've already got the link.
Nice one, nice. How's work?
Same old shite, mate. Same old shite. It's there's no such thing as social distancing, even though it is on paper. We actually had an area manager come round today who wanted. They actually went round and they put, with the black and yellow hazard tape, they cut strips and put crosses on seats and on the floor where we're meant to stand. Now, these offices aren't that big, and you've got maybe 10 staff and a manager who's doing a briefing. You can't have 2 meters apart. It's absolutely bonkers. Yet on paper, everything works fine. I don't know how to interact with real life people that don't understand.
Any real life people?
There's got to be somewhere, mate, because they keep writing things down on paper and saying that transfers to reality, and it really doesn't.
Well, there's 3 real life people here and 64 real life people watching us. So there are real life people about. You know, it's all we got to do is keep doing our little bit. You know, I wanted to ask you, what did you make of Caroline? I mean, thanks for hooking us up with her. I'm just saying, what did you make of her? I thought she was great. I'd have her on again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, she's. Somebody in the chat room said that she's not fully awake. I don't really know what fully awake is, because we're all learning new stuff even every day. But Caroline's
fully awake, are they?
No, Caroline's been a quick learner. Like I said, I ended up at. I met her and a few of the entourage of hers in Manchester when the Conservative conference was in Manchester, and I went to see with her. I went to see these conservatives do all the spiel, and it was just like being at the theatre. I mean, it was literally, oh no, she didn't. Oh yes, she did. And then up behind me in the stalls, you had Conservative supporters going rah 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 rah. I'm going, fucking hell, Caroline. I've never been to a theatre like this for a long time. And I interviewed Caroline on my show, and she's interviewed me on hers. She also interviewed David Noakes on the same day, because me and David were both at that same conference. So there's people that think, because Caroline got herself a bit of a platform, they think there's people that have contacted me that have said that Caroline is this, Caroline is that. But I'm used to it. I get it with everybody. John Wedger's a shill. He's a gatekeeper. How many other people are talking about satanic ritual sexual abuse? Not many. At least he's talking about it. Why would I not have him on a platform? And why would I not want to go on his to show, to talk about my stuff? There's a lot of people that are coming together. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, Jason, but recently there's a lot of YouTube channels like ours, which I've got nearly 500 subscribers. There's people who are posting some really good information who've got less subscribers than me. And it's all about what we were talking about months ago, was all these local small YouTube channels need to start talking to each other, getting people on each other's shows and spreading it at grassroots like that. I think it's the only thing that we can really do, Jace. I mean,
listen, that's the way you stay under the radar, right? That's the way you stay under the radar. We've got plenty of people listening for an independent show that's not been brought to you by davidike.com. For an independent show. I mean, it's took 5 years for this to get this far. But I like it like this. I like this is it. We've got a small band of listeners who are loyal, who will listen to you. If you've got a show going on, a lot of our listeners will go and listen to you. For fuck's sake, some people listen to fucking Taylor, for God's sake. I put Taylor on last night because I saw that you were on, and he'd got people watching him. He got super leads on. You can imagine how good it were. He got super leads on, and he got he got Dinny on as well. Hang
on, did he get sober, Dinny?
No, nobody gets sober. I don't think sober Dinny exists.
Well, I've not met sober Dinny.
No, neither have I. But I've never met Dinny, to be honest. But yeah, even Taylor's show will get better. He'll get more people going on it. He'll learn that he can't go for. His problem is he goes for a shit in the middle of a show. I just need to go and use the bathroom, and he comes back walking in 5 minutes later, and he's not been for a fucking pit. There's a fucking bit of bog roll hanging out at the back of his fucking his uniform from Guantanamo Bay, and he'll fucking sit down and then say, "Oh, sorry about that." And I thought to myself, it just seems to work for him. Nobody seems to nobody goes. Nobody disappears. He just, he's going for the shit. So we'll wait.
It's because they're all in the chat room arguing and chatting amongst themselves. But now you know how I feel when I'm in the middle of answering a question you've given me, and you fucking wheel away and enter exit stage fucking left. Fucking hell, Jace. Thanks, mate.
Hey, listen.
As he wheels over his internet cable and puts his fucking connection on.
When we were doing that round table the other night, you asked me to take cover for you because you had to go and do something. So I help you as well. So it's not just one way.
At least I asked you. You didn't just go, where have you gone, mate?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm a secretive man. Very secretive man.
It was funny on Monday because you asked Owen a question. He started answering you. You fucking turned round and lifted your green screen up and disappeared behind the fucking Death Star.
It's class.
Oh no, man!
I feel like we get that smoke machine, that dry ice machine.
Whoa, what the fuck's happened there?
What's going on there?
Watch. This is what I've got going on.
It's the football. It's the football. That's what it is. It's West Bromwich Albion a 3-0 to Sheffield. Oops.
That getting battered, Jace.
It doesn't matter. We weren't going anywhere anyway. Fucking wankers. Fucking baggies.
New Bean's in the house. Hello, New Bean. How you doing? Super Leeds Day by
What the fuck? Webby, what is going on, mate? What is going on? Tell us any new stuff, any new ideas? Because I'm still a bit stumped. I think the EU thing. Did you see the thing I put up earlier on?
No.
The new thing which is return. Well, let me put it. I put it up again.
Oh yes, yes I did. Britain versus Brexit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said that, didn't I? Right at the very start, that this is what part of this will be to keep us in fucking EU, and that's what this is all about. It's all fucking. And then they're starting saying, "I'm sorry to your family, by the way, Owen, if they're listening for me swear words. Just tell them that I've got what's that thing where you swear all the time?
Tourette's, mate.
That's the fucker. So I've got that. So, but the football thing. Now, I heard you talking about it on something else. I can't remember what it was. I listened to your show with Caroline today when I was cooking tea, so that I know what to expect. And I watched something else, and you were talking about football, and the stupidity of it all. Whereas you've got all these people. I saw Man City were playing somebody.
Newcastle.
Yeah, Man City, Newcastle. That's it. And as it showed, how they show you Man City players coming into stadium. Well, they were all got the phone out, right, and they were showing someone on the phone, and the bloke who would do it at the door were taking a photo of each one. Now, I wonder what that were. That'd be interesting to find out what that were, because I thought to myself, well, this is obviously some COVID shit. Because normally they just go in, don't they? A Man City player. A Man City player is going to be coming on Man City coach. He's going to be all rest of fucking players. So, you don't need to confirm their ID. But I wonder if this was some sort of.
It's all for camera, isn't it? It's all for camera.
Sorry?
It's all for the camera, though, isn't it? It's all to still instill that fear, isn't it? So the players are going in.
I know.
They're scanning on their app.
But it's not to instill that fear because then we don't get it. It's because we're going to get it. It's not just instilling fear. It's something that's going to be coming on that line. The footballers, the actual players, to get into the ground had to show something. Now, I don't know whether it was COVID related or not. I'm guessing. And they had to show something. And the guy that were letting him in took a photo of it so that he got a record of it. And then they went in. And now I'd love to be able to find footage of that. But for me, that's it. I know it's this instilling fear, but it were too subtle for that. You know what I mean? It were if you'd not been looking, you wouldn't really have noticed. You would have just thought it were just some players coming off a coach, and it takes a bit of time to get in. So I'm just interested in that. So if anyone can find any footage on that, Newcastle players, Man City players entering.
Give me a second, I'll have a look.
Games as well.
I noticed that a lot of them were going off the bus with these fucking Adidas cloth masks on, but not all had masks on. Not all of the footballers had masks. And I noticed there was a female footballer. All the teammates all had masks on and took the knee. She had a mask on, but she didn't get down on one knee.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I don't know if you noticed. It was a Daily Mirror article, and I haven't looked to see if it's in anywhere else. But Boris Johnson yesterday was calling for us to now clap for the bankers for helping save our economy.
Oh, you are having a laugh. Surely not.
Those same bankers that have got all those bailiffs primed, ready for the end of the 6-month mortgage holiday in October.
Dear.
It's going to be fucking carnage, isn't it?
It is, mate. It really is.
Fucking carnage.
Like I said, Jace, the beauty of it is people could use part of our argument with us if they get into this position where they can't afford these payments. If they default, the insurance policy will pay the mortgage off. They just need to understand where that is and how to bring the argument, and they'd keep the house. It's time. This is the time where what me and you were talking about, Jason, where they're going to come and kick you in the balls and punch you in the face, and they're going to do it now. So it's either pull your pants down and take a good rimming, or pull your pants up and say, I'm going to fight you on this one. It's up to the people at the end of the day.
It is up to people, but yeah, I think we're at that point. Like you said, we've spoken for a long time, Webby. We've been on many shows together, and we've spoken for a long time that when it hits the people that are sort of in the middle, you know, the ones that have got decent jobs, but they've also got £300,000 mortgages and what have you, and then because I saw so many today, so many airline staff that were being, you know, that were being sacked. Essentially, couldn't afford it. Airline staff, pilots. If you imagine you're a pilot now, what's your mortgage going to be like? And you're facing going on dole because there's nobody else is doing the one thing that you can do. Nobody's doing.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. And for me, it is going to be that knock on the door. Excuse me, but you haven't paid your mortgage. We're here to repossess. That's you can't go anywhere. It doesn't matter that Love Island's on anymore. You can't distract yourself from it. So people are going to have to make that choice. Are you going to make a stand? Draw a line, make a stand, and fight for what you've worked for, or are you just going to give it up? I had people who said, "Why don't you just give your house up? Why don't you just sell it and start again?" So, well, you got a nice car. I'll come round and pick it up off you later. You just buy a new car. No, that's not the same. Of course it's the same. I have no authority to take your car without your consent. They have no authority to take my house without my consent. But they still did it. And I needed to know how. I knew why. I needed to know how. And when you back engineer this stuff and you start to unlearn everything that I was taught to learn how it's actually meant to work, fucking hell, man. Those revelations, I'll never forget that night in the bathroom mirror, pissed out my head. Your gas is free. Are you mad? Fuck, but
we'll never forget it either.
What did you think of Kristen Megan's bingo thing for flattening the curve and all that kind of caper? Did you not see it, Jason? I tagged you in it.
I saw some of it.
Yeah, I know
you tagged me in it, and I looked at it. I couldn't quite work out what it were. It did look a little bit like web bingo, didn't it?
It was, but instead it was going off the daily coronavirus stuff coming out of the White House, which was like flattening the curve and saving lives, and where it was mentioned. Kristen Megan was the ex-military. Well, she was more logistics, but she worked with. She was a chemical biologist in the military, and she was the one who came out and blew the whistle on geoengineering chemtrails 10 years ago, something like that. She's been off the scene for quite a bit, but she started to do a little bit do a little bit more now.
Oh, you know what I meant to mention to Caroline? I wanted to ask her about him. What's his name? Fucking Zed. Is it Zed Phoenix? Is that the guy
Zed
off
Phoenix.
that's it's Ben Fellows, but in Zed Phoenix, the guy on Pulp Fiction that fucking I'm gonna call Zedran and he ends up fucking raping Marcellus Wallace.
I thought it was from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Uh,
I don't know who Zed Phoenix is. But
Ben
yeah,
Fellows.
it is Ben Fellows though. Yeah.
Why is anyone listening to him?
Hang on, you asked two questions. Who or why? Which one is it?
Why is anyone listening to him?
To be fair, I don't know what he's really come back on the scene to talk about, because it's nothing to do with sexual abuse or paedophilia. He's talking about coronavirus, 5G stuff. He's in one of the groups.
See,
he's in one of the groups that because I've been to a couple of constitutional law meetings. They're trying to bring constitutional arguments against. Well, at the moment, they're hitting constabularies with notices, whereas for a constitutional argument, I think you've got to keep it as simple as possible. And I think you're complicating it going after single judges or constabularies or anything like that, when the constitutional argument for me is against three things. It's against the executive, the legislator, and the judiciary. The legislator are the ones that write the statutes and acts that must be beneficial to people, and the executive then regulates them. If between them and the judiciary, they are allowing people to act ultra-virusly, like the police are, which are protecting paedophiles, protecting treason, rather than accusing the police of being treasonous and protecting it, you go after the people who should be regulating them and not allowing them to do that, because you also bring the utility companies and the banks to heel, going after the legislator. Are you allowing these companies to take all this? Because for that insurance policy, what the banks are taking out, they're keeping hold of that money. Well, they're keeping hold of the money that's meant to compensate you and your mortgage, but they're not telling you about it and then coming after your property. And the basics of that legislation is it doesn't say they can't. That's all they're operating on. The legislation doesn't say that they cannot go after your house, so they just do it. Once you get that argument together and you pinpoint it, there's nowhere for them to go. And that is why I think people, they've got a few months to start switching on, because there's going to be people who are going to be rammed right up against the wall with this stuff.
There's going to be people that are going to be seeking out people like yourself. So you need to be making not live videos. Well, I mean, it could be live, whatever. But you
Webby
need to
shorts. We can call them Webby shorts.
No, we don't want to see inside Webby shorts.
No, see, that's your mind. That's your mind. That is.
Yeah, mate. I've had a Skype conference call with that fucker while he was in the bath. I've seen enough of him.
I'm just going to say, because I noticed the name there, somebody was leaving. Nin, thank you for joining us. See you next time. We've got to go. Great show, guys. Cheers. We'll tune in next time. Night, Nin. There you go. Nin. I hope I pronounced that right. So there you go. Yeah, did you hear? I mentioned earlier, Webby, about this change in the wedding ceremony due to the COVID. Have you read that today? About the ring swapping and father not allowed to walk his daughter down the aisle. So is it right? I'm right. I didn't see it, didn't I? I wasn't hallucinating.
No, it is right. Those are the things that they're trying to bring in, but there's a perfect way to get out of it. All you do is you get the groom's side of guests and the bride's side of the guests as protesters to protest the wedding. Everybody can go. Everybody can go set up a protest the wedding. You You can put a Black Lives Matter T-shirt on. Somebody can put a White Lives Matter T-shirt on. Somebody can put a I'm a Holocaust survivor T-shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
Just protest. It doesn't spread coronavirus goes, no, that's a protest. We don't attack protests. But if you're going into a pub, we'll be there. You've got 90 minutes in that pub, and then we've got you. We're coming after you.
WCM.
We'll get 90 minutes.
Wedding ceremony.
If you're not out of this town in 90 minutes, we're going to fucking pop a cap in your ass.
I don't get it. I mean, what if you get to like an hour and 25 and you nip out? Do you get your 90 minutes to start again when you come back in? What if you go out for a vape? Do you get those 10 minutes back? How are they going to work this? Because somebody at work says to me, Webby, what are you going to do if you go in a pub and say, we need all the details? I said, because you're not going to give it, are you? Would you just give a false name? Oh, no, my first question is, can I see your public liability insurance in conjunction with the Data Protection Act?
There you go. Yeah, your data protection officer. I was going to mention that. I saw somebody.
Where's your liability, pal? If my details go missing after I give it to you and I end up getting robbed, yeah, I want you to be liable. I want to see your public liability insurance. Give me your fucking insurance number. It's going to cause a lot of hassle. And to be fair, the pubs that I'd go drinking in, they're not going to do it. You know, I've tagged loads of lads in. What do you think of this when you get? That's not going to happen in the pubs I go in, Webby. You know, they're just going to be happy for people to go back. And if people are going to go back in there and say, I don't care about this, that, and the other because it's flu, and I never bothered about this flu before in my life. If I'm ill, I won't go out. If I'm ill, I won't go and visit my grandparents. I'll stay in bed. It's too simple, but people have bought in to this fear, and the fear, it's like somebody set a dry field on fire and it's just gone whoosh, and people have gone, oh my God, I'm so scared. Me and Jason were talking about it the other week, where the guidelines were so simple on the lockdown day. If you can work from home, work from home. If you can't, go to work. That was it. But everybody panicked. Oh no, we've got to hide. And that's even got worse now.
I've had symptoms. I had the shit earlier this morning.
Jason.
What happens is, what I want to know is, you know, when these new pub rules come into force, what happens after Taylor's been in pub 89 minutes and he decides he needs a shit? Do they go and kick Stalin and drag him out, or what? What do they do?
Maybe they'll offer nappies at the door or something like
that. It's incredible what we seem to be
exactly
what we seem to be checking. It just really is incredible, and it's come from you, Webby, but I mean it's what is going on.
Exactly.
What is going on? I mean
as the Jamaicans saying, I can get away with it, Jason. The Jamaicans would say, "Wagwan."
Wagwan.
Yes, there you go. There you go. I can get away with it.
You know, there'll be a statue of you, and it'll say underneath. It'll say what is going on in 200 years' time. There'll be a statue of Webby. What is going on written on underneath it. Some fucking proper right far lefties will want to fucking cut it down because, you know.
That's what it'll be, yeah. Look at this bastard. He told us that gas was free. Pull it down.
Pull it down. He freed us. He tried to free us. Listen, everybody, give us a thumbs up. We've had hardly any thumbs up.
Jason, how many thumbs down have we had tonight?
We've had 5.
Hey, you do know that fucking Super Leeds has already grassed himself up to at least one of those thumbs down. He does it every week, he said. Yeah, he says he does it every week.
He'll be the one on Monday, before we'd even started, we'd got thumbs down.
Yeah, it will be him. That'll
be Leeds doing it. So that's Leeds doing that. Yeah. Thank you, Leeds. But just give us a thumbs up. So we had 5 thumbs down tonight. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You know.
What's going on with it, Jason? What's going on?
What's going on?
What is going on? What is going on? no, the important thing is I think that we keep talking to each other, you know, and interacting and being on each other's shows, and you know, we're going to carry on doing this on Raconteurs News. I might take, well, I at the end of the month I'm away anyway, so there'll be a week when we're off. But I've got a few guests lined up. It now appears that Owen is the new co-host extraordinary. So I shall put a picture of him on the website, on the Facebook page. I'll replace Adi with you. I'm only kidding. No, listen, I'll pop you up on there, and it seems to be official and everything like that. But we need to keep, you know, promoting each other's work. I know Adi's not doing very much at the moment, apart from I think he's just trying to make sure he's got enough money to get through next year until his pension comes through. I don't know what his pension's going to be when it does come through, whether it's going to be what he expected or not. But yeah, we need to keep talking to each other. Owen Nothing at All is over there in Portugal. And like we said, we're looking at setting up this retreat at some point. So keep your eyes open for that. Listen, we're going to go because it's 2 minutes past. I'm going to give you both a minute each to finish off on. Go on, Owen Nothing at All. Oh, mention your birthday as well.
It's my birthday on Saturday. I'm doing it. I'm having a few people around here, not social distancing. And I'm going to do an online event. It's going to run from 12 p.m. I'm going to leave the live camera running. I've hopefully got 2 really good DJs from the UK that are going to do a set for me. They'll be doing their own Facebook Live, but dedicated to me as well. So there'll be a few people here, a little bit of a United Nations, not the United Nations, but people from many different nations here, and we'll be having a chat. They're all like-minded people, and a lot of them have come here for the same reason as well. And what was the other thing? I was going to say one more thing before I went, but I've forgotten it. But there you go. Yeah, I'll be doing a couple of little shorts, reminders of the shows that are coming on as well. I'm going to do probably a little minute thing just to remind people that the show's on tonight with the guests, and then we're going to ask for questions as well. Thank you, Stewie, for the happy birthday, Lionshare. Everybody else, thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing some short videos that will just explain the show that's coming out the same evening and telling you about the guests and asking for questions. Thank you, Matthew, for the birthday wishes. Webby, cheers.
Webby, mate, go on.
Well, there's a few shows coming up. I've got a few guests lined up. I've got nothing definite at the minute with being back in work. I don't like to make plans if I can't get home from work. So I'm going to try and plan it out a little bit. There's quite a few things moving. The constitutional argument, those documents are starting to come together. My group have been working on something a bit separate to just see how simple that we can get the constitutional argument together. Because if it isn't simple, we're going to give them room to manoeuvre. And I think we can put this so simple that basically they're only got 2 options, and that's either to completely show us that we do live in a dictatorship and they don't work for us, or we'll drag them back in line. It's one or the other, and it's a race at the minute to see who's gonna win it. Is it going to be complete martial law and lockdown before we've got a chance to get some of this stuff in? Because I know there's businesses putting a lot of legislation against what the government's done because of the businesses going. But there's definitely going to be a fight. We're going to see that line drawn, Jace, of people who have lost their jobs and lost their businesses and are facing homelessness, and they're either going to evict all these people and steal the property, or they're going to put them all on universal credit and steal the property and rent it back to them anyway. So it's going to be an interesting next 6 months. By Christmas, we're going to see a bit clearer picture, I would say.
A Corona Christmas, won't that be interesting? Well,
another one.
listen, they're not going to get away with it. While there are good people like Owen and Webby and all the other people in the what.
I'm pointing to everybody. You should be there. No, I'm just pointing to everybody. That's all.
All
you
right,
saying
okay.
Webby and me and whatever.
You're putting me off. Yeah, while there's good people like Owen and Webby and all the other good people that do good stuff and put their stuff out, it's a war that we can only win. And I know I always say this: blood alone moves the wheels of history, and I believe that, and that is probably what will happen in the end. But listen, thanks, guys.
Jace,
Yeah.
I think the closest thing that we've, sorry for interrupting, I think the closest thing what we've got to writing, using our own pen to write our own parts in history is this. This is always, this is here, and we are writing our own history because we're the ones that are challenging the history. And do you know what somebody said to me at work today? It only seems like it's you, Webby. Out of all the people that I know and everything, it only seems like you. So why don't you just do what we do and get on with stuff? I went, because I don't want to leave this to my kids if I can help it. My child can't cope with any of this. She wouldn't understand any of it. She's 26 and she wouldn't understand any of this. So no. I can't sit around and do nothing. So sorry for interrupting, mate.
Listen, it's everybody's kids. You know, I see people on Facebook, people I know who have just had kids, and I really feel for them. I mean, my daughter's 23, and she's okay, she's doing okay, but she would have no idea about all this. So you know, we're on a rescue mission. We might not be successful, but we might save a few souls along the way.
We will be successful. We will be successful. We will be successul. That's what I want to hear.
We always save our souls, though, don't we?
And on that note, we'll finish. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much for watching Raconteurs News. Please give us a thumbs up. Thank you very much to Owen, to Webby, and of course to Caroline Stevens, who joined us in the first hour, but needed to go and rest her back. God bless her. So we'll see you next week. Love you all, and take care of yourselves and everyone else.
Night.